Spring is a time of new beginnings, both for fish and fishermen. Following winter slumber, the entire food web comes to life again as the days get longer and the water's warm. Pike, panfish, walleye, and bass push into shallow waters where the buffet has finally opened and the biological urge to spawn is also kicked in. This is all good news for anglers, as access to many fish species becomes easier than any other time of the year, and it doesn't take a big boat to get into the action.
Look at that, beautiful fish.
The northern pike are one of the first fish to move shallow in spring, often before the ice has left the main lake. It's quite a sight, male and female pike migrating up narrow creeks, fully armed to feed and breed. And you've got a shot at a giant pike in spring, whether fishing deadbait on the bottom or chunking and winding swim baits or blades. Not long after the pike procession, the Panfish Convention comes to town, presenting some of the best bluegill and crappie action of the entire year. And while easy pickings panfish used to mean buckets of meat, more anglers are releasing larger fish and practicing selective harvest. And that's good news for the long-term sustainability of panfish waters in our region.
See, dude.
Oh yeah, good looking fish. Just smack that bait.
Walleye fishing can also get fast and furious. Jigging live bait or plastics is a springtime staple. But don't overlook pitching or trolling cranks to find walleye in transition.
There's no wrong way to fish them.
And bass?
Oh, there's another. Oh, that's a big gal.
From
there,
big
boy.
green fish to scrappy smallmouth, the getting can get great with fish localized in skinny waters. From power fishing to finesse, there are countless ways to catch springtime bass depending on their mood.
I like when they bite on that frog.
Best to have a few rods on the deck, from swim jigs to shallow running cranks to creature baits and wacky rigs. It all adds up to a whole lot of fun. But no matter what your favorite species, now is the time for some of the year's best angling opportunities.
Well, this has been an interesting spring for sure. Definitely cold, going into April. In Minnesota here, like we mentioned, we have the walleye opener coming up this weekend. What suggestions might you have, even beyond walleye for this kind of cold spring?
Fishing shallow and fishing quiet. I think, with this colder spring that we're having, you get into situations where there's not a lot of vegetation. You've got lots of species that are jam-packed into these shallow water areas, and really pitching baits and casting is going to be the key. Getting that presentation out away from the boat is definitely key, because these fish are really spooky. When they're not clinging to any sort of cover, they're going to be spooky. Even sometimes your presentations can spook these fish. So keep that in mind. You're going to want to go in there with your trolling motor down, staying quiet, and looking for water temperature. Water temperature can be the biggest factor in catching fish this time of year, bar none. And sometimes that means it's just a feeder creek with some warm water coming in. It could be, just a little bit of wind blowing into a back bay, pushing up that water temperature up 1 or 2 degrees. Watching that water temperature gauge on your graph is going to be the greatest tool that you have this late ice spring and this early cool water spring.